Affirming care is often framed as a politically heated topic rather than a purely scientific one.
The computer gives every process what's called a time slice, all right?
Here at the Wonder Center and Science Museum, we actually have a replica of the skeleton of the Camarasaurus sauropod dinosaur.
Arnold is a Chilean rose-haired tarantula.
Good evening and welcome to the Genesis Science Report. I'm David Rives, and coming up on tonight's show, we'll open our studio once again to some fascinating animal ambassadors. Michael Maughon is back with more live creatures to help us explore the incredible way that God's design is built into every part of creation. And then we'll address a question many believers quietly wonder. Can God really hear all of our prayers at once? Former NASA JPL science consultant David Coppedge joins us to unpack what science reveals about God's omnipotence and why Scripture asserts that every prayer matters. But first, as we move past 100 days of Trump's presidency, many politicians and scientists are increasingly concerned about the implications of implementing Project 2025, a comprehensive plan that seeks to reshape the relationship between science and government. According to Rachel Cletus, the policy director of the Climate and Energy Program at the Nonpartisan Union of Concerned Scientists, the independence of science is being attacked across the board in the document. She said that this is a problem. Okay, so in fact, a Scientific American article claims that Project 2025 poses far-reaching threats to science. That sounds ominous. So what science are politicians so worried about exactly? The main areas of concern include healthcare, climate change, education, and technology. Now, these topics are not just abstract concepts. They have real-world implications. For example, the proposed limitations on, quote, gender-affirming care are deeply contentious, raising questions about the role of science in shaping health policies. However, the reality is that we need, as independent thinkers, to clearly divide science from political agendas and personal beliefs. I mean, we have to examine the ancient principles of scientific inquiry and weigh those processes against morality and biological facts. Those are those pesky little things that get in the way of the humanist and naturalistic agenda. Scientific inquiry calls us to observe, to question, to create hypotheses, and conduct experiments for data collection to further our understanding of the world around us. Yet, is scientific inquiry genuinely needed in the context of gender-affirming care, which Project 2025 proposes to limit? I mean, after all, according to basic biology, there are two genders. And affirming care is often framed as a politically heated topic rather than a purely scientific one. Put politics in the realm of scientific study, and every time, real science comes out agenda-based. The debate surrounding gender-affirming care is emblematic of a broader issue, the increasing entanglement of science with political ideologies. This raises the question of whether scientific inquiry can remain objective when political dynamics exert such influence. Now, the response to this question is critical, as it underscores the need for transparency in scientific processes, especially when government funding plays a significant role in scientific inquiry. Scientific study, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. Scientific study is intricately influenced by political dynamics and public perceptions, which can skew research priorities and even outcomes. As political agendas shift, funding sources may also change, leading to a scenario where scientific research could be compromised or either directed toward politically favorable conclusions rather than objective truths. For example, the recent push for eliminating artificial food dyes, as reported by Newsweek, illustrates how political decisions can directly impact scientific studies and public health outcomes. The FDA currently permits 36 food color additives, but research has indicated that some of these additives might induce cancer and contribute to neurological behaviors in children. Now, this raises significant ethical questions. Are we prioritizing economic interests over the health of our children? When politicians advocate for or against scientific research based on public opinion or political gain, that undermines the integrity of the very scientific process. Yet the public's perception of science can shape how research is conducted and how it's communicated. Scientists often face pressure to align their findings with prevailing political narratives or public sentiments, even when the evidence suggests otherwise. For example, during the pandemic, scientific recommendations often became politicized, leading to confusion and mistrust among the public. This politicization of science can hinder effective communication, and ultimately, it can jeopardize public health. In this landscape, the role of science communicators and institutions becomes even more critical. They must navigate the complexities of public opinion while ensuring that scientific integrity remains intact. To ensure that the pursuit of knowledge remains unbiased and objective, it's vital for scientists, for policymakers, and the public to engage in open dialogues about the implications of intertwining science with politics. As we navigate these complex intersections, we have to advocate for a clear separation of scientific inquiry from a lot of these political motivations of today. This separation is not merely an ideal, it's essential for preserving the integrity of scientific research and ensuring that our understanding of health, of climate, of technology, of biology is based on evidence rather than ideology. Ultimately, as we confront the challenges that are posed by Project 2025, both positive and negative, and the broader landscape of political influences on science, we have to remain vigilant. Upholding the principles of scientific integrity in the face of political pressures is not just a responsibility for scientists, but for all of society, for you watching today. It is through this commitment to transparency and objectivity that we can ensure a future where science, real science, continues to inform policy decisions benefiting humanity as a whole. I'm David Rives, and this is the Genesis Science Report. Just outside Nashville, the Wonder Center and Science Museum, with a top 10 planetarium, kids' hands-on activities, the teen favorite 1 million volt musical Tesla show. It's worlds of fun for the entire family. Experience the wonder. Explore the science. Inspire curiosity. Embark on adventure. The Wonder Center and Science Museum. Is there a biblical view of animal rights?
We've actually got a report that was in one of our British newspapers a little while back. Don't kill mosquitoes, let them take blood donation. Now here's a great example of being futile in your thinking, right?
Right.
At what point should we be looking after animals? At what point should we be treating animals as if they were humans? So it's a really popular topic.
On Wonders Without Number. I want to thank you for supporting GSN this year. Your support is helping us send this broadcast to millions of households around the globe. You know, in a society where the theories of Darwinian evolution are bombarding our youth via schools and universities and through peer pressure, we need to saturate the airwaves with the truth of real biblical science, and you are making this happen. Your one-time, monthly, or generous end-of-year tax-deductible love gift keeps this network streaming 24/7 at no cost to our viewers. Thank you for your support. I'm David Rives. Truly, the heavens declare the glory of God. You know, some people have said that you can't trust the Bible as real history because archaeologically we just simply don't find evidence for the characters written about in here.
We're going to delve into the world of biblical archaeology. Biblical archaeology is all of archaeology, because archaeology is the study of humans.
Right.
So biblical archaeology is the study of human beings from a biblical perspective.
on Wonders Without Number. Welcome back to the report. It is time to tackle a viewer question in our Genesis Science Q&A. This week's submission comes from @Why Does It Matter on YouTube, who asks, is it possible that birds are just a kind of dinosaur? We consider whales to be a kind of mammal despite being created on the 5th day of creation. Would the same apply to birds? Well, there is an important distinction that must be made when it comes to this consideration. The very word dinosaur, it actually has a definition which indicates an animal that basically has 4 legs that's dwelling on the land. But with this definition, it's impossible to say that a bird would be a dinosaur. We would have to alter the very concept, the very definition of what a dinosaur is. So if you were to say that some birds had slightly reptilian-looking features, or maybe that some dinosaurs had decorations that might look like feathery structures, then I would say, well, yes, it's possible that God could have created these unique features. But when it comes to completely reclassifying what appears to be a velociraptor or a T-Rex as simply, oh, it's a chicken, it's a bird. No, we have to deal with a lot of baggage that comes with that avian classification. So many of my colleagues are currently studying these implications, and I'm sure we'll learn more over the next few years of discovery, which will probably share a lot of light on this. But at this point, any argument suggesting that birds are just dinosaurs, it's extremely premature. We're finding it in museums now. We're seeing the T-Rex with feathers on it. After all, birds typically fly in the air, as is outlined in the historical book of Genesis. They are not typically land creatures. But you guys are sending in some incredible, deep, thoughtful questions, and I absolutely love it. We love connecting with our viewers. So remember to keep those questions coming. You can share them with us on social media, or you can email comments at genesissciencenetwork.com. For those interested in this week's Q&A topic, be sure to check out our featured resource, Guidebook to North American Dinosaurs According to Created Kinds. This comprehensive guide takes you beyond the typical museum labels and textbook assumptions, offering detailed facts on over 100 genera of dinosaurs, all presented from a biblical paleontology perspective. It's packed with over 300 full-color photos and illustrations. This guide, it doesn't just list names and stats. It digs into the actual fossil evidence behind the interpretations, comparing both secular and creationist views. You'll also find engaging essays on dinosaur footprints, on eggs, museums, hunting expeditions, and even the paleontologists themselves. I lead paleo digs to places like Kansas and teach families how to dig up the bones of these creatures. But most importantly, the book helps answer questions that a lot of evolutionary models, they leave unresolved, pointing instead to a creation model that makes a whole lot of sense of the data within the framework of Genesis and the flood of Noah's day. So whether you're a student, whether you're an educator, or you just love dinosaurs, Guidebook to North American Dinosaurs is a powerful tool to help you explore the fossil record with clarity and with biblical conviction. You can get your copy today at creationsuperstore.com. And now it is time for the Kids Corner. And for this, I'm going to open with a question. What is the largest kind of animal to ever have lived on land? Well, the answer would have to be the giant sauropod dinosaurs, some of which grew to enormous sizes. The Argentinosaurus sauropod is estimated to be up to 115 feet long and weigh up to 80 tons. Now that's a lot longer and heavier than the largest living land animal of today, which would be the elephant. Now it can be up to 24 feet long and weigh up to 10 tons, but it's no comparison. Some scientists believe that there were other species of sauropods, of these elephant-style foot dinosaurs, that were even larger still. So here at the Wonder Center and Science Museum, we actually have a replica of the skeleton of the Camarasaurus sauropod dinosaur. You're seeing pictures of it on screen right now, and he measures 55 feet long, and he partially circles a large portion of the rotunda where you come in, where you get your tickets, right at the center of the museum. And we also have an authentic fossilized giant shoulder blade of this dinosaur that kids can touch. You can put your hand on a real dinosaur bone from Utah. In addition, we have an authentic fossilized vertebrae from the backbone that I am holding right here. This is just one backbone of this giant Camarasaurus creature. Now, you may be able to tell this is no exaggeration. This is extremely heavy. My hands are shaking just trying to hold this up. But despite their huge size, the sauropod dinosaurs, they were mostly harmless, unless they, of course, stepped on you with their massive feet. Their teeth are rounded, and these were plant eaters. But when you think that this is one bone from this creature, it puts it into perspective. Now, it's likely that sauropod dinosaurs like Camarasaurus are what is being described in the biblical book of Job in chapter 40, where you find a passage where God is talking to Job, and he says, "Behold now Behemoth, which I made with thee. He eateth grass as an ox. Lo, now his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. He moveth his tail like a cedar. His bones are as strong pieces of brass, like bars of iron. He is chief among the ways of God. He that made him can make his sword to approach unto him. Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all of the beasts of the field play. He lieth under the shady trees. Behold, he drinketh up a river, and hasteth not. He can draw up Jordan in his mouth." Now, that statement where he says he moves his tail like a cedar, that sure sounds a whole lot like a sauropod. God, as the creator, certainly knows his creation, and he's able to accurately describe it to Job and describe it to us in the Bible. It makes perfect sense to always trust the Bible, and we should marvel at these massive beasts. Who knows, maybe we'll find something even larger in a dinosaur dig in the future, so make sure that you're getting our email updates. I lead family paleo digs and teach kids and adults how to dig up bones of some giant creatures. So I'm going to announce my next dig on a future email, and I would love to see you in the field with me in the future. Coming up, we are going hands-on with some of God's most fascinating creatures because Michael Maughon is back in the studio. And if you think that the last time was wild, wait till you see what he's brought me this time. Let's stick around. The birds of the air, they were created by God in the beginning, but they are so diverse right now. He is being handed this magnificent creature.
This bird is designed. He is chock full of design. This doesn't just happen. He'll fly over your head and he'll land and you can't hear a thing.
Is that right?
It's incredible. God thought of everything when he made them.
On Wonders Without Number.
Join us at the Wonder Center and Science Museum for this month's Unwrapped event, where we feature expert speakers presenting scientific and biblical discoveries.
It pays to learn history, folks.
We cannot create an aircraft even close to what these birds can do.
This changes the way we do biology.
Discounted tickets are available for an after-hours adventure, including museum admission with kids' hands-on activities, a planetarium movie, Tesla experience, and pre-show entertainment. Perfect for the whole family.
What you believe about the history of the world is going to affect the way that you study the world today.
You see a mathematical order here. You see the orthogonal lines. You see the repeating patterns.
You don't understand what it takes to make a cell. That's serious engineering.
Come be inspired as you learn. The evening presentation is free, but seating is extremely limited, so RSVP immediately at wondercenter.org.
Limestone, we see it all around the world, but what is it exactly and how did it get here?
But let's delve a little bit into limestone. This was found by our good friend John Mackay, our mutual friend John Mackay, a few years back, right? He was driving through the Peak District and he shouted, "Stop!" And he said, "I've seen limestone." And the driver was like, "We're in the middle of the Peak District, it's all limestone around here." No, I found some special limestone.
On Wonders Without Number. Welcome back to the report. Well, he's back, and he's got some friends with him. Now, here on the Genesis Science Report, we're always looking for new ways to explore God's creation, whether we're talking about the farthest stars or the tiniest creatures right here on Earth. And today, we're doing just that with a few living, breathing examples of God's design. So if you caught our last episode, you'll know that this segment is probably going to be full of surprises for me as well. Our guest is a wildlife educator, a creation speaker, and honestly one of the only people that I trust to walk into the studio carrying crates full of mysterious animals. Michael Maughon is back, and he has brought along some fascinating creatures to help us take a closer look at the incredible ways that God equips his animals to thrive. Now, I've not seen what you brought yet, but I'm kind of excited, but a little bit scared. So
good, you should be.
No, I don't like that. Now, can we cut? What did you bring for us?
Okay, so first we have a Russian tortoise.
No, that's pretty cute.
He's pretty cute, but God equipped them with this shell for protection.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. It's made of bone, and the top is called the carapace, the bottom's called the plastron, and they're completely encased in this bone shell, and they can tuck everything up inside of it.
Is that right? For protection?
Yeah.
Okay. So literally everything, top and, can I pick
Yeah,
him?
you can pick him up.
What is his name?
This is Dingus.
Dingus?
Yep.
Dingus?
And really cool. God designed tortoises perfectly to do what they do.
Yeah.
They're the only animal on the planet where their hips and their shoulders are inside of their rib cage.
Okay.
So their shell, they're attached to it. It's like a modified rib cage, if you will.
Yeah.
And just amazingly, so they can tuck up and they're protected from most predators. There's very few things that can break into that shell.
Yes, because it's very tough.
It's
okay,
very
can
tough.
it feel through the shell?
It can feel through the
Interesting.
shell.
So it could actually feel that right
Yep, he knows you're touching them.
there. Really?
Yeah. And then these guys have huge claws.
Yeah.
And they're really good diggers.
Okay.
So where they live, they're found in Russia and surrounding countries, and they can dig burrows that are 6+ feet deep. And they use that to get out of the heat or get out of the cold, and they'll brumate or estivate. And that way they can regulate their temperature a little bit better.
Okay.
And then one really cool design feature of the tortoise is the evolutionary theory of them is that they evolved from a lizard-like ancestor.
Okay.
But that had flatter ribs, and those ribs kind of fused into a shell. But if you fuse your ribs into a shell, you can't breathe.
How do you even breathe?
Yeah, you need to be able to expand your ribs. So God gave them special muscles inside their shell that help them breathe.
Okay.
And it's an amazing design, and they'll also use buccal breathing, so they'll kind of bring air into their mouth and they'll force it down into their lungs.
Okay.
But they need that before those ribs would have fused.
Right. So if you get something evolving from one creature into another, then if all of those mechanisms aren't in place at the right time, then it's going to suffocate.
You're done.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, God thought of everything. His design is perfect. It's incredible.
I love it. And again, it is pretty cute, I'll have to say. This
It
is
is.
really great.
Yeah.
All right, so the difference between turtles and tortoises.
Yes, so tortoises are turtles, but turtles aren't tortoises. Tortoises live on land.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they're a land-dwelling species, and turtles typically are gonna live in and around water.
In and around water. Gotcha.
Yeah. All right, are we ready
Beautiful.
for our
Thank
next?
you for bringing him.
You are welcome. Thank you for coming, Dingus. That was pretty awesome. All right, so next, this right here.
Whoa, this is big.
This is
big.
Rigel.
Rigel.
Yes.
Is he safe to?
Yeah, you can reach over and pet him. He's pretty friendly.
Wow. Oh my, he's huge.
Yeah.
What
So,
is this?
This is the largest species of tegu. It's a black and white Argentine tegu, or Argentine tegu.
Yeah.
And they're found in South America, and they are absolutely beastly lizards.
Yes, they
You
are.
can look at him. The males have these big old jowls.
I see
And they
that.
have these big heads, and that's like one of the main ways you tell the males from the females.
Okay.
Is as adults, they get these big old jowls right there. They're really
yeah.
cool. And they have a really good bite. They have a really powerful bite, and they are omnivores. They'll eat just about anything that comes their way. All right, let's see if he'll eat for us.
Ah,
Do you want
he's
a banana?
beautiful too. That coloration.
I know.
So I mean, I've seen lots of geckos and lots of different creatures. You want me to
Yeah, you
try
want
to
to see
get
if
it around
he'll
this direction?
see if he'll eat some of that.
Hey, buddy, you want to see? You want to see that? You're interested?
So look at that tongue. Do you see that huge
It's
tongue?
Huge.
He's tasting the air.
Okay.
I don't know if he'll eat for us, but he normally is a pretty good eater. Sometimes when he's in a new environment, he gets a little bit nervous.
There we go. There we go.
But they're omnivores, and he'll eat just about anything. He loves fruit and vegetables, and then he'll eat meat, insects, snails, all that stuff. If they can fit it in their mouth, they'll usually eat it.
Okay, but what about my finger? That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, just keep your fingers out of their mouth. You probably don't want to get bit by this guy.
Man, he's beautiful.
I know. Okay. And when you touch him, he feels like beads.
He just took it from me. Yeah. Yes, I felt that. Oh, wow.
Look at that. Yeah.
Whoa.
And then the species can lose their tail.
Okay.
They're just not very good at growing it back. So the males get bigger than females, and they max out at about 4.5 feet. And so he probably would be about 4.5 feet, but at some point he lost his tail, and he grew it back, but it's a lot shorter and stubbier. They're not great at growing their tails back, but they can, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. Okay, so now tell me just a little bit about Genesis Animal Sanctuary. You have taken in how many animals are you up to at this point?
We have 60 or 70 in our sanctuary, yeah.
Okay.
So quite a few animals, but we get the opportunity to take in animals that people got as pets and don't want them anymore.
Yeah.
And we get to kind of repurpose them. So we kind of train them, get them ready to do programs, and get to show people how incredible God's creation is.
Absolutely.
Because he thought of everything when he designed the animals. I mean, this thing is built to survive.
Now, story.
Yeah.
You texted me a couple of months ago, and you were like, David, what's your favorite object in space?
I did. I did text that.
And I had no idea where you're going with this. And I'm like, well, what about Messier M51, the Whirlpool Galaxy, or maybe the Hale-Bopp Comet, or whatever. I guess if it was just maybe Rigel or what. And then the next thing I know, you sent me a picture of this creature.
I did. And we named him after your favorite star.
That is so neat.
Rigel.
That is so neat.
He's going to come and hang out with you here at the museum for a little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
So we're going to be able to let people coming to the Wonder Center see him.
Yes.
And even possibly touch it?
Absolutely. Really cool lizard. One of the really cool things about this species is they're kind of warm-blooded.
Okay.
They're like the only known species of lizard that can raise their body temperature.
Okay.
During breeding season, they'll up their body temperature from the outside temp. And
is that right?
They're like a warm-blooded lizard, and they're typically considered to be the smartest lizard out there.
Yes.
And they kind of feel if y'all saw the last episode, the monitor is an old world species. This is kind of a new world species that fills that niche.
Which, by the way, guys, you gotta go watch that episode. I'm sure it's up on YouTube and other platforms, but he handed me a monitor, and I was actually holding this thing. But this is a beast. Oh, that's amazing.
Really cool.
That is crazy.
We got one more animal for you.
All right.
We got time for one more?
I think we've got time for one more.
All right, so if you can just put your hands out here.
Okay.
Don't drop them.
Wait a second. I've got banana on my hands.
Is Arnold.
Arnold?
Yeah.
All right, Arnold. Oh my good.
So, Arnold is a Chilean rose hair tarantula. And I was told that you are a huge fan of spiders.
Yes, I love spiders. I'm a little bit terrified of some spiders.
I especially brought him for you.
Okay.
Really?
What should I be doing right now?
Just nothing. Just let him crawl on you.
No,
this is probably the most common tarantula in the pet trade. They're very docile.
My goodness, he's looking at me.
Yeah. Can you see his fangs under there?
I don't want to see his fangs.
Dude, his fangs are like a 1/4 inch, if not longer.
Oh my goodness.
They're huge.
Okay, so...
And they are venomous, so they use those fangs to grab their prey.
Okay.
Just love them.
That's a little bit difficult. I need some help here. Does anybody have a rag to wipe the sweat from my brow right now? I'm not the biggest fan of. I will have to tell you, not the biggest fan of spiders.
Oh, oops.
I'm not saying that they're not interesting in.
One of your staff might have cued me in on that, so that's why we brought them.
Oh my goodness.
So if you look, he has 8 legs, but it looks like he has 10. Those 2 front ones.
Yeah. Are
called pedipalps.
Okay.
And he uses those. They're more sensory organs. And he uses them to fill around and test stuff, and he'll use it to kind of grab stuff.
So are they more like antennae or no?
Yeah, they're kind of more like antennae.
A little bit, okay,
yeah.
okay.
And they have those massive fangs that they use to kill their prey, and they have venom.
I get that.
And really cool, the front of him, the cephalothorax or the prosoma, and then the back is the abdomen or the opithosoma.
Okay.
And really cool, they also have urticating hairs. So if you make him mad, he'll use his back legs and he'll throw those hairs at you, and they're barbed, and they'll get in your eyes and your nose and your membranes, and they're very irritating.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like fiberglass. If you ever mess with that pink stuff and you get super itchy, they can do that to you if you make them mad.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, but does he bite you?
No. A lot of people are like, oh, tarantulas are scary and they're going to get me. They're super calm.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, first time for everything. I'm first time, last time. Oh, it is a really amazing creature. It really is. Thank you for bringing this.
Absolutely.
Okay, so, and a lot of people don't realize that, and I do appreciate, even though I have a little bit of a fear, but I appreciate what spiders do, right? The rest of the insect population would be so overblown if not for these things.
Yeah, they're very useful.
Okay. So God's created these regulating mechanisms within all of creation, which will take care of everything around it. There's this whole ecosystem where everything's working together for the good of, for the greater good, we might say.
Yeah, God thought of absolutely everything when he designed this planet.
I'm going to try to close this segment out with him still, without Michael.
That sounds good.
Genesis Animal Sanctuary, what's the website?
GenesisAnimalSanctuary.org.
Y'all get involved. Check out what he's doing. This is amazing. Thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing everything but him. But I can't wait to have you on in the future. Oh my goodness. You know, these are powerful reminders that God does not just create. He creates and he designs with purpose. He doesn't just create something to survive. He creates it to thrive. From feathers to scales to shells, every detail to this spider, everything points to the brilliance of the Creator. It's time to take a quick break at this point, but as soon as I can hand him back off, we're going to be right back with more on the Genesis Science Report. Squids in limestone in the middle of the Grand Canyon.
But the big problem is, how did those fossils get deposited in the middle of a 7-foot thick layer? According to the narrative, is something like 36 million years in duration. I'm replacing the narrative with some type of rapid smothering event.
On Wonders Without Number. Friends of Genesis Science Network, we started this channel to make an impact in the lives of both Christians and inquiring skeptics around the world. It has done that in unbelievable ways. Now, one of our viewers wrote, "I've been watching your channel for nearly a week now, and I would like you to know the blessing that it's been to me. I've never had the finances or the opportunity to attend a university, but I've been a believer for the last 37 years. Your channel has done more for my understanding of my faith than any book I've read save the Bible, and I feel like I'm finally able to attend the lecture classes I've always wanted to. Thank you so much for your ministry." I want to thank you for your generous support. GSN is no simple project and requires monthly commitments to keep it on the air. Please consider becoming a partner with us today. Just call 931-212-7990 or click Give on our website. We are making a difference. I'm David Rives, and you're watching the Genesis Science Network. are back, and it's time to hear from you, our viewers. Our first viewer voices submission tonight comes from Scott on Facebook. He says, I've been reading the Bible for 32 years, and I am still learning new things thanks to people like David Rives. I enjoy his interviews with people from various fields of science that teach us more about the wonders that can only be attributed to an almighty God. Thank you so much, Scott. Again, it's not me. It's obviously the Lord has placed us in this position to be able to share the truth of God's creation with millions of people, and we are just so honored. Thank you for being one. Our second testimonial comes from Karen Jones, who had this to say after visiting the Wonder Center. She said, awesome venue with intriguing and informative exhibits for all ages. Yes, it is. We actually, my goodness, a few days ago we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, mostly young people, walking, some running, through the museum, learning, doing scavenger hunts. Yeah, it's always exciting to see what is happening at the Wonder Center. And if you haven't planned your visit, you need to do that right now. Plan your vacation. It doesn't matter where you are. Plan that vacation towards Nashville, Tennessee, where you can visit the Wonder Center and Science Museum. Now, if you've been impacted by the work this ministry is doing, I want to hear from you. Connect with us on social media or just email comments at genesiссciencenetwork.com. Now it is time to shift our focus to faith, but not the kind of faith that you might expect. Because on this week's Genesis Science Minute, we'll ask, well, when it comes to origins, where do you place your faith? Let's take a look right now.
The Bible states that in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Just as those who are Christians have faith in their beliefs, many of the theories associated with evolution are faith-based. So what's the difference? Evolution is based on ever-changing theories. We actually have an unchanging written record of the creation event, given by the Creator Himself. By way of science, many of the historical accounts that we read in the Bible are being verified. So if portions of the Bible are being consistently verified as real history, then why not accept the creation account found in the book of Genesis to be just as accurate? I have faith that it is. We have a choice, faith in God or faith in man. I'm David Rives. Truly, the heavens declare the glory of God.
For more information, visit David Rives Ministries at davidrives.com, davidrives.com.
You know, my faith is not a blind faith. It is an evidence-backed faith that literally all you have to do is open your eyes and you can see the history in the Bible is correct. Everything is right there. So be sure to open your eyes and see. It is time to jump into this week's ministry report. Recently, we had a packed house at the Wonder Center as we welcomed Bodie Hodge back for a live Unwrapped event. Bodie is always a favorite guest because of his passion for digging deep into Scripture and connecting it with history, with archaeology, and with today's culture. Now, his presentation that evening took us through some of the most fascinating accounts in the Bible, including the Tower of Babel, and explored how those ancient events still impact our world today in ways a lot of people simply overlook. He covered topics from human origins to culture clashes to the roots of racism, showing how a biblical worldview provides real answers for some of the biggest issues that we face in our society. Let's go to a short clip from that event.
But let's just imagine, let's say you're a kid and you're going to do a report and you say, I want to do a report on the Tower of Babel. Where does everybody go to do their research nowadays? Google. They hop on the internet, type in Tower of Babel. Look what pops up like right away. Wikipedia, you know, the encyclopedia that changes every day, that's oftentimes very anti-Christian. Look at this. It says it's a origin myth. Encyclopedia Britannica, also one of the top hits up there. Mythological tower. You see, kids right away are taught, hey, this is a myth, it's not real, because people are attacking the Bible. Guess what? God says it was real. So was it real? Yes, it was. God's always right. In fact, if we jump back and we look, there are only 9 verses that talk about the Tower of Babel and the events that are going on right there in Genesis chapter 11. Now, Genesis chapter 10 right before that gives you a breakdown of all that. But Genesis chapter 11, 1 through 9, that's the chronological account. Let's take a look at it here. Just to give you a big picture of when this occurred, this is after the flood, as Noah's descendants are supposed to be spreading out around the world. Now the whole earth had one language and one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Then they said to one another, "Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly." They had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower, whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of all the earth." But the Lord came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men had built. And the Lord said, "Indeed, the people are one, and they all have one language, and this is what they begin to do. Now nothing that they propose to do will be withheld from them." But of course, the Lord comes down and sees this city and this tower, and he confuses the language of all the earth, and they spread throughout the entire world. And they took their language with them. They broke them apart.
If you'd like to see the full Unwrapped presentation, you can watch it right now at creationsuperstore.com, where it's available along with a growing library of Unwrapped programs. And remember, Unwrapped actually airs every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central on the Genesis Science Network. The prayers and generosity of our viewers continue to make all of this possible. Your monthly support helps ensure that we can continue to share all of these things, including the wonders of God's creation, with individuals all over the globe. So I invite you to partner with us in ministry by making a contribution today. You can visit our website or call 931-212-7990 to donate and to learn more about this important work. And now it's time to shift our focus to something deeper, our very identity. In this week's Heavens Declare, we examine the overwhelming evidence that points to a personal creator. Let's take a look right now. There are many who have not accepted Jesus Christ as their Savior. Many more reject the entire concept of God's existence. Now, some are atheists because they don't care to have rules placed on them by a superior, but some turn to atheism because they lack the information as to what biblical Christianity is really about. You see, they think that we have a weak false god, a rehash of hundreds of pagan gods throughout history. However, the God of the Bible is everything but typical. He is the one and only God, supreme, the creator of the entire universe. Now, the amazing design that we see behind a so-called simple cell, or the information language system of DNA, or the grandeur of Earth, a planet tailored specially to support us, points overwhelmingly to a creator. Now, some claim that Bible believers have a great ignorance of evolution, yet many creationists are those who have studied evolution most closely. Close enough to see the immensity of problems in the theories of chance origins. Biological life, you and me, that's so mathematically improbable by chance and natural selection that it's amazing so many people are still holding on to the antiquated view of Darwinian evolution. But you see, if the theory of evolution is mathematically improbable, there's really only one possibility that shines through, since we have an historical record that gives us the facts. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. I'm David Rives. Truly, the heavens declare the glory of God. Amazing. After the break, we are going to dive into a big question about prayer. How can God really hear all of us all at once? David Coppedge joins us to explore this mystery through the lens of science and Scripture. Very interesting, so stay tuned. Hi, I'm David Rives, and I'm inviting you to visit the Creation Superstore, the largest Origins-related store in the world. Not only will you find every book and video title on creation versus evolution, science, but also every resource that teaches us about our origin and how it all takes us back to Genesis, a grand designer, the God of the Bible, and ultimately, yes, the gospel message. documentaries your family can trust, fossils, teaching videos, children's books, church Bible studies, homeschool supplements, and expert scientific literature. If you can't find a title, call us up and we'll add it. Normally, you'd have to visit dozens of sites to gain access to all of the titles that are out there, and then you would be at a loss to whether the book or video was worth the purchase. But not here. We've curated the best of the best into top 10 lists. And on some of my favorite products, you'll find the Rives rating, where I help guide you on the best resources available for not only those who love history, biblical studies, and creation science, but also great products at the layman level, easy to understand for those who are learning or want their children and grandchildren to be exposed to a biblical worldview. Just look for the Rives rating to find my personal favorites. Use the search bar to look up a topic or follow our menu to sort by ministry, subject, or author. Give us a call at 931-212-7990 as you're browsing. We have ministry volunteers who will do their best to assist you at all hours of the day and even help you place your order. Yes, a real person. Get ready for a secure shopping experience brought to you by the leaders of creation-based research. Your purchase goes towards ministry outreach and also supports the authors and organizations who publish the material, most of whom are personal friends and colleagues of mine. I'm David Rives. Truly, the heavens declare the glory of God. Welcome back to The Report. We often talk about prayer as a personal conversation with God, available to us anytime, day or night. But have you ever wondered how in the world is this possible? With over 8 billion people on the planet, how can God truly give you His full attention? Is your prayer just one of millions buzzing through some kind of divine switchboard, or is there more going on than we realize? Today we're joined by someone who's spent years bridging the gap between science and faith, especially in the realm of how big the universe really is and how big our God must be. David Coppedge has been a science journalist in Southern California for almost 25 years. He writes for Creation Evolution Headlines and has contributed articles for the Discovery Institute, ICR, CMI, and the Creation Club. He is also a board member of Illustra Media and serves as their science consultant. He worked at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, JPL, for 14 years. David has a bachelor in astrophysics and has led over 400 creation expeditions since 1984. David Coppedge, welcome back to the Genesis Science Report.
Good to be with you again, David. How are you?
It is great to have you. And in fact, you and I were both on one of my African photo safaris. You shared with us a message in the bushveld of Africa. I guess it was last time. Wasn't that amazing?
Oh, yeah, that was a great trip, and you did a great job leading us too.
Oh, thank you, thank you. David, this is actually a question that, as believers, we have all wondered at one time or another. We talk a lot about science on the Genesis Science Report, but this one actually has these scientific and philosophical components to it. We pray as if we have a private audience with God at any time, day or night, but how does that work if there are millions of people praying at any given moment?
Yeah, this is, I think, an interesting question, and it deals with multitasking. Of course, God is the ultimate multitasker, and we know something about that, both of us, don't we? We have a lot going on all the time. And so I thought about this, and I thought maybe with my background in computer science, I could help us get a grip on an answer to this question. So behind me, you see a picture of some of the types of servers and computers I worked on for NASA. And I have some insights that may help us, by analogy, get a grip on this question. So the first thing to know about computers is that they have what's called a central processing unit. All right? It's central. Everything points to it. It's a processor, and it's a unit. There's just one of them. Now, some modern computers have multiple cores, but they all have to report to a master CPU anyway to work. Otherwise, there would be chaos. So the way this works in a computer is it has a piece of software that's called a scheduler. And a scheduler takes all of the different things that it's got to do and schedules them in an order. Now, let me draw another analogy first let's say we have a doctor in a circle of patients, okay? And this doctor is going to give every patient to tell me your problem and I'll try to help you solve it. So after a minute's up, he moves on to the next one, and the first person says, wait, I'm not done. I have more to say. And the doctor says, don't worry, I'm going to come around again and we'll pick up where we left off. Okay. Now that's a little bit like the scheduler works in a computer. The computer gives every process what's called a time slice, all right, a slice of its time, and let's say it gives it 1 second. So it moves to user 1, gives it a second, moves to user 2, moves to the power supply, all the different peripherals, and they all get a second of time, all right? But then you might say, well, the power supply is going to scream and say, wait, I'm more important than the mouse, okay? I need more time than the mouse. What if I go down? We all go down with the ship together. So help me out here. So the scheduler says, okay, you not only get a time slice now, but you also get a priority value, all right? And if you're higher priority, you can interrupt me and I'll come running to your aid. So that's how the scheduler works. Now, if some of you remember old computers, of course I do. I started back in the 1980s, and they had these CRT computers with green letters on a screen, a cathode ray tube, and you type some letters, and it might take a second or two for the computer to catch up. I don't know if you remember those, David, but I well do. In fact, I started computer science on punch cards, if you can believe that. But so anyway, over time, computer CPUs got better and faster. All right. And so they were able to handle more users and give them a smaller time slice and get the same amount done. So maybe instead of a second, you get a 1/10 of a second, or a 100th of a second, or a millisecond, a 1,000th of a second. All right. And yet it can still do the same amount of answering questions, solving problems, and dealing with emergencies. And so in this graph, you see that as the CPU power gets stronger and curves upward, user satisfaction also curves upward. Okay, so your experience with the computer gets better and better when you have a faster CPU. I know you have some pretty good ones in your server room, don't you, Dave?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
You gave me a tour of the museum there, and and you showed me some of the back room equipment that you have, which is pretty impressive.
The supercomputers.
And I've heard that some of today's supercomputers can handle a quintillion processes per second. A quintillion. In fact, there's one I read about that is approaching 10 quintillion processes per second, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, God, of course, is not a computer. All right, but he's the ultimate multitasker, and he can handle the whole universe. And the point I want to get across here is that since the user, since the user satisfaction level goes up with more power, our experience with God is also a function of how great he is and how omniscient and omnipresent he is. Okay, and so it's no problem for him to handle billions, quintillions. I mean, there's no limit, an infinite number of processes at the same time. And what this means for us in our prayer life is that we can act as if God has our undivided attention.
Wow.
Okay? We've heard about sweet hour of prayer, and you can take all the time you need, and God has all the time in the universe to devote to your needs and your problems. And I think that's a beautiful thought.
Isn't it? It is a very beautiful thought. And the idea that God can be outside of universal principles like our concept of time gives him all the time in the world, because time is just a construct that he created for us to understand passage. But that kind of brings me to, sometimes tasks you mentioned in these incredibly powerful CPUs, they get priority scheduling. They say, well, this is a more important request, so therefore slow down the processes on these others and then prioritize me. But what about urgent prayers? What if we've got a family member in the hospital? What if we really need something right now? Does that even apply in this analogy?
No, because if you're familiar with the concept of a limit, we saw in that graph that it skyrockets, and so it approaches infinity. And that green line on the graph was, let's say, represents infinity. And so our computers can never get as close to what God can do. But God can take all of the high priority requests and the low priority requests. He can take a child's little prayer about his pet or something like that. Okay. And that is supremely important to God, and he loves to hear children pray. So you don't need to pray as if, Lord, I know you have a lot on your mind, a lot to do, and I hate to bother you with my little request here. No, we don't need to pray that way, because he cares for us, and he has all the time in the universe to give to us.
That is so neat. And he's
go ahead.
Extremely powerful. He can do anything he wants to, but he's also personal. And again, we're relating these concepts of science back to a concept of a supercomputer, which can be very powerful, but it's not very personal. In these closing moments, why is it important to remember that God wants to have a relationship with us, not just that he can handle our processing requests?
Yes, and I didn't want it at all to draw an analogy to God as like a computer, because you're right, he is a person, a personal God. But if mankind can handle this kind of multitasking ability with computers, just imagine how much a personal God who is infinite in power and omnipresent, omniscient, can deal with us. He can handle everything that we have. And I love the scripture that says in 1 Peter 5:8, casting all your care upon him because he cares for you. And often I go to sleep at night with this verse from Psalm 55, cast your burden on the Lord and he will sustain you. He will never permit the righteous to be moved.
Wow. Wow. David, again, as a scientist, as a researcher, as an author, as a contributor on the Creation Club, one of our sites, and as well as the Creation Evolution headlines, which you update very frequently. We really appreciate your work on that. I just want to say thank you for being on today to share this powerful reminder that kind of brings us around to an idea of, well, God doesn't just remember us or process our complaints or our asks or whatever it is. He knows us and he loves us completely. And when he brings us back, it's not going to be from scratch. It'll be by design, because the Bible tells us that we will be as members of his body with him for all of eternity. That's a long time. Thanks for being here.
Yes, I hope this was a blessing, and I hope it revolutionizes somebody's prayer life today.
I love it. I love it. That is it for today. I want to thank you for joining us on the Genesis Science Report. And until next week, keep looking up. I'm David Rives. Truly, the heavens declare the glory of God.